Hey guys, it's Adrian. I hope you had a great holiday weekend. Long weekends and trading don't really tend to mix very well. And I hope that you didn't find yourself long on the heels of the long weekend because this morning the sell-off was unrelenting. I had a bunch of guys who were trying to find a place to fade something, trying to fade Apple, fade Nvidia. Didn't work out. You just had to find a way to continue with the trend, look for the extension reversals. So we had this move lower on the triple Qs, followed by this move higher. That formed overhead resistance, 467.18. That looked to me like it was going to be a good place to try and get shorts back down into the low of the range. Lo and behold, you only really had one retest of that level, and you probably missed it if you had the alert up around that 467.18 or 467.15 level. So no cigar there, and it does not look like this thing is planning on coming up for air anytime soon. As you know, you've got a 77% probability once you're below that black line right there that you are going to get a reversal from down here somewhere back up into this range. That doesn't look like it's going to happen today, as this market just seems to be trying to find a reason to continue to move to the downside. Let's take a look at a couple opportunities in the Magnificent Seven stocks. Meta. So Meta wound up trying to buck the trend earlier in the day, made a move higher. There was really no long indication anywhere, though. So if you're looking this morning, the thing to focus on was this move to the downside and the persistence of the move to the downside in the broader indices and how it was dragging even the stronger stocks down with it. So Meta and Microsoft, they looked like they were trying to push higher first thing in the morning. But the safe bet most of the day was to wait for the stock to come in and then consolidate and pull back. And the first time that we really had an opportunity on the short side of the market here was when we had this little infield fly set up. That one gave us a move back down into the range, back down into 512.07. And then right now, it is setting up at this threshold level here. That's a big volume by price cluster. It's also very, very close to the session VWAP right here, which is also bundled up against this cluster. So you can see we've got some air here between these two. That's always an indication that there is a little bit of ease of motion right there. And we are also sitting right on top of this anchored VWAP. So the trading range there might be tight. It might wind up being the case that, that this one gives us less room for travel than we would expect. If it winds up getting bunched up here at 514.84, that's still decent travel range on the day trade. So I'm going to keep my eye on Meta. And we've got Microsoft. Microsoft went up, right up into this 419.04 threshold level. It got right into that overhead resistance. So R1 stopped it dead in its tracks, started moving lower over the course of the day. It is significantly extended from its VWAP. Obviously, the VWAP is all the way up here. We are all the way down here. I don't think we've got a chance of getting back up to that VWAP before the session ends today. What I am looking for is any kind of a move back up into 413.06, that level thereabout, and then a reversal lower into this 410.98 threshold again, or a move up into 411.59 that reverses back down 410.98, and these would just sort of be the scalps. Not looking at anything on the long side here either, but I do think there's going to be opportunity in Microsoft over the course of the rest of the session. And Nvidia, if you took this trade today on the long side after this big move to the downside, then, well, we had things to discuss. So I think this was the equivalent of just heading into the schoolyard and letting a 7-year-old girl punch you in the face. But the reality here was, some people think that Nvidia is always going to go up after the open. That's not the case. Obviously not the case if you look at what it's doing today, especially. The thing to do with this stock today was to wait for it to settle in. And you can see that right around 11:30, that's when we saw this guy start to trade into these ranges. These ranges are the tradable thing over the course of the day, generally speaking, on Nvidia. Not bad today, 110.75 down to 110.10. I am still not interested in anything on the long side of this market either. I think the market in Nvidia is going to be firmly on the downside. The better trades anyways are going to be on the downside for the rest of the session. If we see a move back up into 111.49, I think that's an even better trade. That's going to be up into that VWAP. It's going to be up into this hierarchical cluster analysis here, and it's going to tell us that we've got a very high probability that this big green wall is going to reverse us lower because it's going to have confluence with our support and resistance, with our VWAP, And, everything is just in place. Everything tells you that if we get a move back up into there, it's an extension move anyways. We're looking for almost $1.50 on the upside by the time that we get there. And if we do get there, we've got high probability short then in place for the rest of the day. And that's really it. And I'm also looking at Tesla. Tesla's in kind of a narrow range, so I don't think that's going to be a big trade for us for the rest of the day. If you're in the war room with us, then we will keep talking about these. If you're traveling, be safe, and I will see everyone back here tomorrow.